All right, we gotta talk about the tariffs. Once again, this topic won't stop being brought up, bro. It literally will not stop being brought up. However, it is very important because it kind of dictates the actual price of the Switch 2 in the United States and even potentially in Canada. I don't know. Who knows what Nintendo's gonna do there? But there was some news that broke that the tariffs had actually been, they had been paused for 90 days. And that is still in effect. However, there were some exemptions being brought into some of the actual products that would be exempt from any sort of tariffs. And one thing that was listed was electronics, specifically PCs, like computers, all of that. But it is now coming out that the Nintendo Switch 2 will not be a part of that, including the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X and S. There will not be any exemptions for those. And the news legit has literally been switching around so much. I don't think I've ever had to experience this much freaking uncertainty. But essentially, Nintendo has to sort of eat up a 10% tariff after these 90 days are over. And that essentially means that Nintendo is doing their absolute best to ship as much product from Vietnam over to the United States. The last figure that I saw was a few days ago. Nintendo had actually shipped about 1.1 million Switch 2s over to the United States. And, oh my gosh, bro. What is happening? I guarantee the minute this video goes live, it's gonna be out of date. It's just gonna be completely out of date. But essentially, Nintendo is doing their absolute hardest to bring as many Switch 2 consoles over to the United States as humanly possible. We have not heard any updates on pre-orders or anything like that, but I just gotta level with you. I have never, in my, I don't know how long I've been follow gaming for, I've never, ever had to cover anything like this. Ever. I've never even had to think about stuff like this. Like, we're talking about tariffs less than 2 months away from Nintendo's console launch, which is just mind-blowing in itself, bro. The fact that we aren't really... We've talked more about tariffs and price than we have about games, which I am having a tough time wrapping my brain around. So, this will be a shorter video, but yeah, essentially that's what's going on. To get more into the specifics, Nintendo is manufacturing 33% of their Nintendo Switch 2s in Vietnam, which was slapped with a 46% tariff. I don't know how many days ago at this point, but that tariff has since been paused until, what, like July or something like that? So Nintendo is trying to get as much stock from Vietnam over to the United States as possible. There is a 125% tariff on China right now. We're not going to dive into that situation, but that essentially means that Nintendo's gonna have to ship their Switches from China to Vietnam and then over to the United States or wherever they're trying to bring it. And yes, the 90-day freeze is still very much in effect. So in my personal opinion, you should probably get your Switch 2 on launch day if possible, or simply just as quickly as humanly possible, because you might have to eat up a tariff or you're gonna have to import it from maybe Canada, which as a Canadian, please don't. I really want to Switch 2 on day one. But either way, the tariffs are, essentially there's a prediction that at 46%, people are expecting the Switch 2 price to go at $50 to $100. So if these tariffs are not relinquished, specifically the 46% tariffs, if those are not at least relaxed or something like that, then Nintendo is going to have to up the price 100% in the United States by either $50 or $100, which obviously not a good thing for anybody. It is not good for the price to go up in any way, shape, or form. There is so much freaking drama around the Switch 2 in terms of price, and I mean, personally, I've gotten comfortable with the price now, especially after seeing just, it's due to inflation for Mario Kart and whatnot, and it is setting a dangerous precedent in a way, but at the same time, that's just how much things cost. Honestly, that's just how much things cost nowadays, and but the problem is that if they have to increase said price, this rumor that Nintendo is just being greedy and whatnot is not going to go away. It's only going to amplify it, because the people that are saying the Switch 2 should be like $400, seeing it go up to like $500, $600, are going to be like, God damn, it should just still be $450 then. People are still going to have that, and it's just going to be amplified. Plus, the US actually makes up about a third of the of Nintendo's actual like consumer base. So a third of Switch sales came from the United States, if not more. So it is very important. It is imperative that the Switch 2 is at a competitive price point right out the gate. And $450, if you guys were expecting it to go lower, you are sorely mistaken. I don't know what to say to you, bro. Low-key, don't know what to say, but that is essentially what is going on. So Nintendo absolutely needs to find their footing here. And even with the pre-order situation, they need to get a grip on this, because it is getting out of hand. If it hasn't already, it's been getting out of hand ever since the console was revealed. It has not at all dropped in any way, which is not good for a console launch. Without a doubt, bro. This is probably the most rocky console launch Nintendo has ever faced. With tariffs, with frickin' like the reciprocal tariffs, which Nintendo might actually have to start selling the Switch 2 at a loss in the United States, which who knows if they're gonna eat that up. We'll see. They might have to, or else it's just not gonna sell at all. Who even knows? I don't even know what is actually happening at this point. At this moment in time, Nintendo has been, like, it's been so rocky. And, it's actually crazy because, I mean, the PlayStation 5's not gonna have to go through this. They're not gonna have to deal with this. Microsoft's already released their console. Their consoles are like 4 or 5 years old now. So it really depends, and it gives them more time to prepare for these tariffs. But Nintendo is at the probably launching the Switch 2 at the worst possible moment. Like, actually the worst possible moment. We'll do one more erase. They're probably launching this at the worst possible moment when it comes to the tariffs. It's at an all-time high. If they even they cannot import it from the, they would have to double the price if they were manufacturing still in China. It is genuinely insane. So yeah, no, the Switch 2 is not included in the tariff exemptions, unfortunately for Nintendo fans. It is not, and that includes every single one of them. Every single one of them, bro. It got to the point where frickin' Stephen Colbert had a YouTube title with Nintendo Switch 2 delayed over tariffs. That is insane. That is insane that this is actually getting like mainstream attention. And guys, if I had to give you any sort of advice, if you were on the fence about buying a Switch 2 for a cheaper price, you might want to get it right away. And this doesn't apply to people in like Europe or Canada or anything else. I don't believe those prices going up. If you want to have a, like, if you want to get this thing, get it now. I swear you are gonna need it, because if you're trying to get it at a cheaper price and you're not gonna buy it if it's inflated, like, you are gonna need to buy this, because the tariff situation is very uncertain. Regardless of whatever you think of said tariffs, it is very uncertain. It is a very fluid situation, and it could change on a dime at this point. And as a content creator, I want to give you the best advice possible. If you are even thinking of getting said console, get it as soon as you can, because it's so uncertain what's going on. And I wish things were a lot smoother. I don't like that things are rocky as they are, but that's just the world, man. That's just the world at this point. There's not much you can do about it. But yeah, I just hope the pre-orders go on as usual. We haven't gotten a date on that, by the way. I don't know if I've said that yet, but we have not gotten a date on when Switch 2 pre-orders can come back. And bro, the Canadians, bro, we gotta wait. We gotta wait, because the Canadian Switch stock comes through the US, so it would be probably charged at a tariff because Nintendo is importing it to the United States. But I almost wonder that if the tariffs aren't relinquished for the console, I wonder if they're going to import them to Canada, and then maybe the US. Like, again, I don't know these gymnastics that countries have to go through, or Nintendo has to go through to get their console at a different rate. But all I know, Nintendo is absolutely ramping up as much. They are sending as many Switches to the United States from Vietnam as possible before these tariffs are unpaused, or people, you know, kind of relinquish their mind. Like, this situation has been absolutely insane. But as of now, as of 3:56 p.m. on April 13th, 2025, the Switch 2 is not exempt from the tariffs. So we will have to see. The 90-day pause, of course, still in effect for, I think, everybody. I don't know. But again, very fluid situation. Could change on a dime. We will keep you up to date, ladies and gentlemen. We will keep you up to date on all of the things that are going on with Switch 2 and the tariffs. We'll make another follow-up video if something changes. But yeah, thank you for listening to me blabber on about frickin' Switch 2 and whatever for however many minutes. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, comment your thoughts on the tariffs on Switch 2 specifically. Let's not get political. Let's try our best. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out, everybody.